The biggest lie you've ever been told is that hard work leads to wealth. If that were true, construction workers would be billionaires and CEOs would be broke. Most people are stuck in the linear trap. They trade 1 hour of life for 1 unit of currency. It's a 1-to-1 ratio that guarantees you'll never be free. But there's a small group of people, the 1%, who play a different game entirely. They use a rule so simple it sounds like a scam, yet it's the only reason they can make more money in their sleep than you do in a month. This isn't about dividend stocks or real estate. It's about the 1% rule of asymmetric leverage. Meet Mark. Mark did everything right. He went to college, got a safe job, and started saving 10% of his paycheck. He was told that in 40 years, compound interest would make him a millionaire. But Mark did the math. By the time he's 65, $1 million won't even buy a mid-sized sedan thanks to inflation. Mark was working harder, but he was running on a treadmill that was speeding up. Therefore, he decided to invest in a rental property. He took out a massive loan, spent his weekends fixing toilets, and dealt with a tenant who stopped paying in month 3. His passive income turned into a second full-time job. He was exhausted, he was broke, and he was still trading time for money. But then, Mark noticed something strange. He met a 22-year-old kid who worked 4 hours a week from a coffee shop. This kid didn't have a boss, didn't have a commute, and didn't have a rental property. What he had was a digital asset that used the 1% rule. The rule states that 99% of your effort should be spent on the 1% of tasks that have infinite scale. See, most people spend 99% of their time on maintenance tasks. Email, meetings, fixing things, errands. These tasks have 0 scale. They die the moment you stop doing them. Therefore, you are always tethered to the work. The 1% rule flips this. You ignore the maintenance and obsess over creation tasks. Mark realized that a single piece of code, a single digital product, or a single automated system is a one-way valve. You build it once, that's the 1% of effort, and it stays open forever. Mark decided to stop buying physical real estate and started building digital real estate. He didn't quit his job. Not yet. But he spent every Saturday morning building a simple automated newsletter in a niche he understood. The first month, he made $0. But he didn't stop, because unlike his rental property, the newsletter didn't require him to be there to function. It was a digital machine. But here's where most people fail. They try it for a week, don't see a check in the mail, and quit. They think the rule isn't working. Therefore, they go back to the treadmill. What they don't realize is that the 1% rule is backloaded. In the beginning, you are doing 99% of the work for 1% of the result. But eventually, you hit the pivot point. For Mark, that point came in month 8. He had built a system that captured leads, delivered value, and sold a small digital course on autopilot. He woke up on a Tuesday, checked his phone, and saw he'd made $400 while he was dreaming. That was more than his daily salary at his 9 to 5. But more importantly, he hadn't worked for that $400. Not that morning, anyway. He had triggered the 1% rule. He had decoupled his time from his income. Most people think they need $1 million to have passive income. They think they need to be rich to start. But the 1% rule proves the opposite. You use the rule to get rich, not the other way around. You find an asset class where the cost of replication is 0. If you write a book, it costs the same to sell 1 copy as it does to sell 1 million. If you record a video, it costs the same for 1 person to watch as it does for the whole world. That is asymmetric leverage. So how do you start? You stop looking for side hustles that require your presence. If you're driving for Uber, you're just a glorified employee for an algorithm. If you're freelancing on Upwork, you've just bought yourself a job with a worse boss. Instead, you must identify your 1% asset. What is the one thing you can build today that will still be working for you in 5 years? Is it a YouTube channel? An automated software tool? A niche digital community? The math is simple. If you spend 1 hour a day on a linear task, you get 1 hour of pay. If you spend 1 hour a day on a 1% asset, that hour compounds. After a year, that single hour of work is performing the labor of 1,000 men. Mark eventually quit his job. Not because he got lucky, but because he stopped being a grinder and started being an architect. He stopped fixing the leaks in other people's pipes and started building his own reservoir. The water was going to flow whether he was there to watch it or not. The 1% rule isn't a secret. It's a choice. You can choose to be the person who works for money, or you can be the person who builds systems that make money work for them. One path leads to a gold watch at 65. The other leads to freedom while you're still young enough to enjoy it. Stop trading your life for digits in a bank account. Build something that outlives your effort. The 1% rule is waiting. Now go build your reservoir.